sometimes, you know. What else can we do when we're feeling low? So take a deep breath and let it go. You shouldn't be drowning on your own. And if you feel you're sinking, I will jump right over into cold, cold water for you. And although time may take us into different places, I will still be patient with you. And I hope you know I won't let go. I'll be your lifeline tonight. I won't let go. I'll be your lifeline.
Hear a knock on the door and the night begins. Cause we've done this before, so you come on in. Make yourself at my home, tell me where you been. Pour yourself something cold, baby, cheers to this. Sometimes you gotta stay in, and you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house. Play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my house.
Running out of breath, but I got stamina. Running out, I close my eyes, but I got stamina. And I see another mountain to climb, but I got stamina. I need another lover be mine, 'cause I got stamina. Don't give up, don't give up, don't give up, no, don't give up, won't give up, don't give up, no. I'm free to be the greatest I'm alive. I'm free to be the greatest here tonight. The greatest, the greatest, the greatest alive. The greatest, the greatest alive.
If I got locked away and we lost it all today, tell me honestly, would you still love me the same? If I showed you my flaws, if I couldn't be strong, tell me honestly, would you still love me the same? Right about now. If I judge for life, man, would you stay by my side? Or is you gonna say goodbye? Can you tell me right now? If I couldn't buy you the fancy things in life, shawty, would it be alright? Come and show me that you do. Now tell me, would you really ride for me? Baby, tell me, would you die for me? Would you spend your whole life with me? Would you be there to always hold me down? Tell me, would you really cry for me? Baby, don't lie to me. If I didn't have anything, I wanna know, would you stick around? If I got locked away and we lost it all today, tell me honestly, would you still love me the same? If I showed you my flaws, if I couldn't be strong, tell me honestly, would you still
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, boy. It won't be long.
well, but I don't do too well with apologies. I hope I don't run out of time, cause someone call a referee. Cause I just need one more shot, have forgiveness. I know you know that I made those mistakes maybe once or twice. And by once or twice I mean maybe a couple of 100 times. So let me redeem on myself tonight. Cause I just need one more shot, second chances. Yeah. Is it too late now to say sorry? Cause I'm missing more than just your body. Oh, is it too late now to say sorry? Yeah, I know that I let you down. Is it too late to say sorry now? Take every single piece of the blame if you want me to. But you know that there is no innocent one in this game for two. But I go, and then you go out and spill the truth. Can we both say the words and forget this? Yeah, is it too late now to say sorry? Cause I'm missing more than just your body. Oh, is it too late now to say sorry? Yeah, I know that I let you down. Is it too late to say I'm sorry now? I'm not just trying to get you back on me. Cause I'm missing more than just your body. Is it too late now to say sorry? Yeah, I know that I let you down. Is it too late to say I'm sorry now?
Told me everybody's 15 minutes in a different time zone. And since I have it at the moment, you the one I wanna shine my light on. Get your life, little mama, won't you get your life on? Ain't nothing cooler than the wrong moves when you do them to the right song. Let's shoot this movie and put the intro on repeat. I hope this memories are making me fall asleep. Before we hit the road, put our phones on silent. Nobody's trying to bring sand to the beach. What would it take to change plans for the weekend? Cause I'm trying to kick it like eating. The whole thing, the pre-party, the priest. Then we hit the major league with a cheese.
I like you, girl, in particular. You in particular. Say, I like your waist in particular. Say, I like you, girl, in particular. Yeah. You in particular. Say, I like your waist in particular.
Give me love one of these days, yeah. I knew the first time I saw you there, yeah. Give me love one of these days, got it, go. Now you sabi, mommy, you already know, ma. Got it, baby, got it, go. Me, I can't lie, oh. I like you, girl, in particular. Can I see your particulars? I've been screening you like una película. So baby, let's steer it up, yeah. I've come to see what's in your eyes. Baby.
I like you, girl, in particular. You in particular. Say, I like your waist in particular. Say, I like you, girl, in particular. Yeah. You in particular. Say, I like your waist in particular.
I like the way that your body move all over the floor, nah.
I'd like to find a way to get lost in you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanna talk to you, baby, say what's on your mind. Girl, tell me anything that you wanna do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ain't we all just looking for some loving tonight? Got a crazy feeling that I fit you just right. So try me in the morning when the sun comes rising up. Try me in the afternoon, bet you just can't get enough. Try me in the evening, satisfaction guaranteed. Baby, I got what you need, you gotta try. Watch me do it. Boy, I'm a star. Watch me do it. Watch me do it. I'm a star. I'm a star. Watch me do it. Watch me do it.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I surely. What is that? Good. Do you need more music? Do you need to breathe? What do you need? Tell me what you need. Can I get a better answer than that? How is everybody? Imagine I'm still not convinced. I want you to do this. This is what we're going to do. You know, I have a little 5-year-old nephew, huh? So, you know, when you work with children, you find all the ways. I'ma find all my ways. I want you to really look at me. Look at me with those eyes. Okay. Now I want you to breathe in from your toenails all the way up, okay? And then when you exhale, I want you to give me the loudest, dirtiest, most sound inside, okay? Madani, I'm looking at you. Okay, are we ready? Is everyone ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Inhale. And exhale. Wow. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Woo! Okay, that's better. How is everybody? Goodness, I think I'm going to have to leave it up to Wachuka and Shiro to wake everybody up. Tough crowd. I hope you're just being gentle with me because you're saving the love for the next panel. Is that it? If you are in the Nairobi flea market and you can hear my voice, if you're grabbing a drink, going to the washroom, shopping, make your way over here for the final session. I am so excited about this session. And I am actually, before we do that, I want to, first of all, remind you that the Nairobi flea market is still going on. There are incredible makers making amazing things. Check it out. Check out the Book Bunk merch. Don't forget to grab your seed balls on the way out, which you can just throw into soil and then they grow. Imagine. What is that? And but if you're foreign, don't take it with you outside of the country. I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. This is not the end. After this session, there is another dance party because, as we say, there's always room for joy. And in this moment, I love that we're doing this in Nairobi Eastland's library. I love it. I love that this is where we're having these conversations. I love that where stories are recorded and kept and treasured, that we get to add to this. Amitav Ghosh yesterday provoked us to think about the voices of non-humans, and it's so poignant that we're sitting under this tree and there are birds fluttering by and there is the soil that is also present to these conversations. And so to introduce the next session, I need you to give a thunderous applause to the co-founders, the two founders of Book Bunk, Wanjiru Koinange and Angela Wachuka. Thunderous.
Hello, everybody. Is there anyone out there? I don't hear you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for sticking it through to the last panel.
The very last one. This is our last offering of this weekend. We hope you have been as enriched as we have been throughout the weekend. It's been a lovely time. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. And we know you're only here for Bernardine, so we're going to get some housekeeping out of the way quickly. But we always like to start with gratitude, because I think all through the weekend we've been hearing, we've received lots of thanks from all of you for kind of gathering this space, but it doesn't happen. It's not just the two of us. We have a lot of people who work to get this together. We want to say thank you to them now.
Yes.
And then after our conversation, we can see them.
Yes.
and acknowledge them. But thank you, first of all, to our partners.
Yes, absolutely.
We have the best partners, don't we?
We have the best partners. Doing this work demands resources, right? In all sorts of ways. We need the money, we need all sorts of things to make it happen. So thank you so much to the British Council. I know their team were here earlier. To Open Society Foundations, Aisha Osori is in the house. To Hawthorne Den Foundation as well. To Goethe Institute.
Bookade, I see Henrietta in the back. Thank you, Henrietta, for all of the wonderful children's programming. To the Global Human Rights Protection, Cultural Protection Fund, Global Human Rights and the Cultural Protection Fund. Thank you. All of the wonderful merch you've been buying, all of the wonderful makers you've met outside there. The food, the drinks are all courtesy of the Nairobi Flea Market, which is an incredible initiative that helps us to kind of connect to the makers of our cities. So thank you for the Nairobi Flea Market for coming on board and helping us connect with all of these incredible vendors.
Yes, and we've also got, we hope that you're buying books by the authors that you're listening to. And thank you to Somanami. I see Muldoni in the house, our book partner. Asanteni sana.
You have to clap for Budoni and her team louder than that, because the things they have done to get these books available to all of you. Yo.
Yes.
It's truly a labor of love, and we can't do it alone. So thank you, Modoni and Wendy, and the rest of your incredible team.
And of course, we know, barriers to books affects pricing. 16% VAT is applied to books here. So we would like to make them cheaper in the future. And we hope that we get to see that possibility happen. And writers. Oh my goodness. The writers who said yes. There were about 31, I got this number wrong the other night. It was about 31 international writers we invited. And most of them are flying in on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, when you know what the news was on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And we got so many very valid, very, very many phone calls about, is this safe to come? Should we still come? And essentially, if you're in an airport looking at the news, you know what the news looks like. We know that the coverage isn't always as widely spread as it could be. But so we gave the writers the decision. I'm like, it's really up to you. We're going to do whatever we can to keep you safe. And so many of them said yes. And they came. And this festival is happening because they said yes. And then the Kenyan writers again also just like, we're coming. And here we are. So asanteni sana to each and every one of you who have graced this stage, who have just shared your time and your insights and your work with us. Thank you. We would not be a festival without writers. No. We just wouldn't. We'd just be talking to ourselves.
We would
like we are here, and maybe we should bring the writer. We have one writer on stage. My bad.
Yes.
So the second writer on stage. How many events has Bernardine participated in this weekend?
I think this is the fourth one.
The fourth one, yeah. I want to say she's done 3 already. And if you've listened to her speaking, obviously she's a very, very powerful writer and a speaker. Booker Prize winner is how I introduced her as the other day. We're so grateful for Bernardine joining us here. We're going to invite her on stage.
Round of applause, please. Louder. Where's the DJ? Okay, it's not here.
Bernardine Evaristo.
Welcome.
Who was actually just telling us that the last time she was in Kenya was in 1985. So it's really, really wonderful to have you back. And thank you for having the Lit Fest as the reason why you have returned. We're going to have a slightly varied conversation from what you saw online. Just go with it. It's going to be fun. Karibuni.
Okay, and to start, we like games. And we think that games everybody should play. That's why we have so many Legos and games in the library. So everybody must play. So we're going to start with a bit of a game. And the last time we played this game, we were on stage with the governor of Nairobi. It was quite hilarious. But the game is called Where Should We Begin? How many of you know Esther Perel in the room? Esther Perel fans? Okay, we have a few Esther Perel fans. There's a ticking happening behind me that I'm wondering what that's about. But anyway, so Esther Perel has a really wonderful game, icebreaker game, and both Wachuka, myself, and Bernardine will each pick a card randomly, and we will decide who gets to get asked that question. So we're gonna start there and see how it goes. So let me just organize myself.
Okay. These can go anywhere. That's the trouble with them. So depending on what you pick, let's see where it goes.
You get to pick a question, but also to decide who you want to ask it to. And I think just because I like even numbers, I'm going to invite someone from the audience to also pick a card. So we have 4 questions. Is that okay? Can I break the rules? So anyone who wants to ask anyone on stage a question from this deck, now is your chance to come up and pick a card. Okay, we have someone from the front. Anyone you like, you can read them. You can actually even review the questions if you like to.
Am I starting? Hi, my name is Sabi Muteshi, and I'm going to ask Bernardine, of course, right? It's not lying when.
Oh, did you hear that?
It's not lying.
It's not lying when. Wow. It's not lying when I convince myself that there is a morally right reason to say what I'm saying.
Deep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. Boom, random. Because the first one went to Bernardine, sure, this one will go to you.
Okay, bring it on.
The last time I was worried that I might become a bad parent. Shall I skip that one?
Is my mom
Next. Your mom's in the audience, right?
In the audience.
Hi, Mom.
Okay. Hi, Mom. I never worry about becoming a bad parent because I don't want to have children.
Boom. Okay, there we go. You get the hang of the game.
So this one now is yours.
Uh-oh.
And you know I'm going to keep it spicy.
No.
So this game has these color-coded squares, and the pink ones are the most dangerous ones. And they're all about like your love life or your sex life. So I'm sorry, my dear Wachuka.
You're not.
I'm not, you're right. So, if my partner had an affair, I would... ...
Have one too.
Ooh, I did not expect that.
On a serious note. Wow. I would probably exit the situation, depending on the rules.
Okay. Depending on the rules, I like that because there's always room for negotiation,
There's
isn't
always
there?
room for negotiation.
Okay, are we warm? Are you guys warm? Can we start?
Can I ask my question though?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh my goodness! I forgot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ask your
Who
question,
do I
Bernardine.
ask it
Up
of?
to you.
Okay. Angela, when someone can hear me going to the bathroom, I
Wish I lived in Japan, where they have those gadgets, right? That you can put on that makes the sound of rain when you're going to the toilet. True fact. Like, it's true. I don't bother too much about that. Actually, it doesn't really bother me. So I do nothing. I continue with my business.
And that is confidence, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we're gonna do the thing we came here to do, put the games aside. But first of all, Bernardine, thank you. Thank you for saying
you're welcome,
yes.
welcome.
And welcome to Nairobi, a city we love a lot and sometimes love to hate. But Wachuka just mentioned it's been a few years. 1985 is when you were last here. So maybe our first question is, could you reflect on what your time has been this past few days since it's been over 30 years since your last?
It's nearly 40.
Nearly 40,
It's
exactly.
39 years. I came for the UN Decade of Women final conference, and there were 13,000 women from all over the world in Nairobi, and it was an incredible experience. I just remember, I'm comparing then and now, and Nairobi just felt more like a village, really, 40 years ago. It felt very quiet, very manageable. Now it's a big, sprawling metropolis, and really, it feels to me quite crowded, not today, but you know, in the week, lots of traffic and so on. The experience of being here at the festival is just lovely. Everybody's lovely. You know, it's very warm and friendly. There isn't really a division between writers and audience, which is always, the best festivals are like that. And it's just really interesting to be here. You know, I love coming to Africa, lots of different countries I've visited. My father's Nigerian, so I have a connection there. But I know East Africa less well than West Africa. So I observe, you know, it's just interesting.
And I have a quick follow-up because, as you mentioned, you know West Africa a lot more because you are half Nigerian, and it's just here. Over. Nigeria is just here, a few hours away. And because in your memoir, you talk about your grandmother, and kind of there's a warmness and a closeness you speak about her in a way that I kind of stopped and took a breath, because I knew my grandmother. She passed away about 7 years ago, but I knew her well, and we didn't have any kind of relationship until she passed away. I'm very spiritual, so when I pray to my ancestors. I pray to my father, who's departed. I pray to my grandparents, and I pray to my grandmother. And since she's departed, she's felt a lot more closer to me. And I wondered, being here on Kenyan soil, being so close to Nigeria, well, I don't know if it's closer. It's closer. It's close. Do you feel closer to your ancestors on this soil?
Interesting question. I think so, yes. Because, you know, we talk about the world being globalized now, but actually it is in many ways, obviously, but in many ways it's not. Each country is very individual and distinct, and, you know, a lot of Africa, especially south of the Sahara, you know, there is a certain vibe to it and so on. So it does bring memories to me of Nigeria. So I think it does make me reflect. Shall I talk about my grandmother?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. So my father, he came to the UK in 1949, and he didn't tell his mother he was leaving. So my father's father, Gregorio Evaristo, had come over from Brazil. I don't know if people know about that history, but the slavery ended in Brazil in 1888, which was really late, considering it ended in British slave regions in 1830 something, and in America in the 1860s. Well, slavery in Brazil ended in 1888. It was really, really late. And a lot of the people who'd been formerly enslaved couldn't get work in Brazil, so they chartered boats and sailed, in most cases, I think, back to West Africa. And so that's why my surname is Evaristo, even though my father was Nigerian. And his father was called Gregorio. And he was part of one of the generations, because he was much older than my father's mother, who sailed back and settled, in his case, in what had been called the Portuguese town in Lagos, and then it became the Brazilian Quarter, which was where my father was raised. But my father's father died before he was born, in 1927, so he didn't know him. And my father was a twin, so there were two kids, and my grandmother raised him. My grandmother was, she was illiterate, she was a trader, she had two children. And my father decided he wanted to go to the UK, as many people did then, and he didn't tell her, he just went. And then he wrote when he got there, because he said he didn't want her stopping him. But then he didn't write to her for decades, right? So he left his mother. His sister had died before he left in childbirth, his twin sister. So he left his mother and didn't write to her. And it was only when he married my mother and then had children that my mother took on the job of writing to her. But she was illiterate, so she wrote through a scribe. But the scribe, there was no information imparted. You know, the letters, I mean, I've got those letters. There was nothing there. There was no news or whatever. It was just very kind of, you know, lovely to hear from you. I hope you're doing well, so on and so forth. And then my grandmother died in 1960, I think it was 67, with, at that stage, almost 8 grandchildren, but we never met her. My father didn't go back for 44 years, so he went back in the 90s when I took him. So we didn't know her. So she was this mythical figure, really, in our lives. So there was no grandfather, and there was my grandmother. And we had this beautiful photograph of her, which I had blown up onto a silk screen, and she just looked so lovely and warm and, you know, just a young woman. I think it must have been a photograph taken on her marriage day. I think she was incredibly young when she got married. And that was always my memory of my grandmother. So you said about your grandmother and praying to your ancestors. And I used to kind of pray to my grandmother as this kind of symbol of my African heritage, which I didn't know because I didn't grow up in a Nigerian culture. My father didn't pass on his culture to his kids. And so... so I had this image of her in my head, and I had it for the whole of my life until I think it was about 2006. And I went to see a relative in Nigeria, and she gave me a photograph of my grandmother at the end of her life. And I could not believe how she looked. She looked like she had had a really hard life. So she'd gone from this very plump, beautiful young woman full of hope and just very, very sweet looking, to somebody who looked like she'd suffered, who was really gaunt, and she just looked traumatized. And I was like, oh my God, I've carried in my head for the whole of my adult life this image of a young woman at the start of her life. But at the end of her life, there was a whole life that she'd lived that I knew nothing about. And so that was really shocking for me. And I wrote about it in Manifesto, that the only 2 images of her were so different to who she was. And when I went to Nigeria the first time and asked the relatives who knew her what was she like, and they just said she was nice, and they didn't tell me anything. They just said, I said, yes, but what was she really like? She was really nice. And that was it. So that's my grandmother's story, you know, that this sort of lost history. And whatever her story was, I don't know. I don't know what she went through. But you know, losing her only 2 children, that's a big thing, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Bernardine. I'm going to ask you a question related to where we are. Community spaces, if those have played a role in providing space for your writing, either to develop it or to share it with an audience, how important do you think that is? Because we're obviously having this conversation in a public library. Bernardine and I were chatting earlier before this session, and we were talking about, I know a lot of you would know already that she's the president of the Royal Society of Literature. And recently there were all these conversations, including an op-ed that you published in The Guardian, talking about the need for, literary institutions who've been so entrenched in what you called hegemony of the past. How do you see your work there kind of addressing, democratizing those kind of spaces and bringing in diverse voices?
Yeah, I mean, that's the job. You know, the job is to work within the establishment and to change it from within. It's very interesting because there was a controversy at the Royal Society of Literature earlier this year where people were attacking it. And those people were from what I call the entitled class. So they were people who were very used to, controlling that organization culturally and resisting the changes that we've made. And it's been very difficult, and you realize, I think I said this yesterday, you realize how deep the establishment is and how entrenched it is in our society. And I'm somebody who's always about opening up our society. You know, my father was a local councillor in Greenwich when I was a child, so he was somebody who used to have a surgery every Saturday to help the local people. Both my parents were political left-wing activists, if we can call them that. And so I grew up where, my father had come as a migrant to Britain, And then like 20 years later, he was helping the white working classes with the issues that they faced in their daily lives, you know, their sort of problems with housing and unemployment and all of those things. And I grew up with that and this sense that he was part of a community, even though he had come into it as an outsider who was vilified, as people were in the 50s and 60s, in a way that is unimaginable probably to people today. But he believed in community and supporting and the ecosystem that exists to keep people afloat and buoyant and having the best lives that they can have. And that's something that I believe. And so I'm very sensitive to the hegemony that exists and how it isolates and discriminates against and down presses everybody who isn't part of a certain kind of class. Sometimes it's gender of people, and sometimes, you know, spaces are those places where people go to get the support. So I don't have a physical community space that I go to, and some people would argue that the space is online, right? And but it's not the same, is it? You know, we know that generations coming up now are living online, and there has to be a correlation between that and certainly in the UK, in the sort of mental health epidemic, where so many young people are suffering from mental health issues. Of course, because as human beings, we need to be in physical contact with each other. We need to be relating to each other face to face. And the online presence, not only is it very deceptive, it can be incredibly alienating. And it is not how humans were designed to communicate to each other. So community spaces, which are dying out in the UK because of lack of funding, which I think I said at the opening ceremony, are really, really important. And libraries, as I said, have lots and lots of other functions. But, you know, when I just think about the community space that defined me was the youth theatre, which was an old church that had been, you know, what do they call it, desanctified, that's not the term, but it was a church that was turned into a youth theatre, and it became like my youth space where I was very safe and where I discovered my creativity. This now is a space that is a library, and it also has computers. But there are so many other things that can operate out of this space, you know, like learning crafts, for example, photography, writing workshops, reading groups. I was really inspired by the bookshop. What's the name of your bookshop?
Somanami.
Somanami. Read with me. You know, this idea of as a writer, we need people to be reading books. And so that starts when they're born. So like when friends of mine say to me, or family members, I want my child to be a reader. And I say to them, well, you have to read to them and read with them. And they need to see you reading. Because if they don't see you reading, they're not going to absorb it as something that is pleasurable for them to do. And so there are all kinds of ways in which libraries can help people to become readers, you know, from children upwards, obviously help with the literacy, but also help people who are adults who don't read, but finding inventive ways to get people to enjoy reading. In the UK, we have a project, now I can't remember it. It's a project whereby writers write these really slim books of about 15,000 words, and they're supposed to be very simple but not childish, and they're for adults. And those books are for people who aren't used to reading novels. A lot of people don't read novels, right? And so it's an introduction for them to read novels. Can anyone remember the name of the project? No. Quick Reads. It's called Quick Reads. So, but it doesn't mean to say that they're childlike books or they're simple or anything. It's just that the language is simple so that people can follow it. Anyway, there are so many ways in which a community space can be a real community centre, at the same time fulfill its function as a library, which is to get people reading books. And we know all the wonderful things that libraries can do for our culture and communities.
Thank you. We intentionally make these spaces beautiful, because we know that once you draw people in with nice things. Then once they're there, everything else is an easier sell. And I think that it's because Kenyans often say, Kenyans don't read, we don't read much, but these libraries were packed before Book Bunk came into the picture. And we keep harping on about how many libraries there are in this country because there's a connection to reading that is completely underestimated. And I think we have to begin to celebrate the spaces and the places that people want to read, from bookshops to libraries to even sitting around the fire and listening. That's a form of reading, and I think that it's really beautiful that we're acknowledging that moment and being able to give them some space. And I want to kind of touch on something you spoke about, which is theatre and how it was kind of the thing that injected or started your writing career to some extent.
Sorry, can you just start that again?
I want to talk about theatre. Theatre and the impact it's had on your writing, because I think, as I was telling you earlier, that you're very funny. I think your writing is funny, but you are also quite hilarious. That's been my favorite discovery of having you here in Nairobi, to listen to you and being like, Bernardine is a hoot. She's very serious, but also very funny. And I wonder if that's an effect of your theatre background, and if not, what other kind of genres of creativity have influenced your writing?
So I don't think I'm funny. I know that there's a lot of humour in my writing, but I think because I came through theatre, and when I was at drama school, I was writing one-woman shows and performing those shows, and so my experience of writing was becoming my characters. And that's how I write. So I literally inhabit my characters when I'm writing them. So anybody who's read, for example, Mr. Loverman, I was Mr. Loverman during the time of writing that book. And he is a Caribbean man of 74 who's gay, closet gay. So I would be in his head all day. And then my husband would come into the room and I would say, "Oh, hello, darling, how you doing?" And he would be like, what are you talking about? Because I was talking patois. As writers, we are a bit crazy, right? Yeah, we are, because we are not in the real world. You know, when we're creative writers writing novels, we're existing in the world that we're creating for the duration of the time that we're writing the books. So, which is a kind of escapism. Right, well, I certainly am escaping into my characters, and I find that hugely satisfying. I think the humor in my writing is something I think I discovered it when I was probably in my early 30s, because when I was in my 20s, I was extremely serious, and I wanted people to feel the tragedy of my life, right? So I wanted to make people cry, because I was a young woman, lots of issues, and then there used to be a comedy duo called French and Saunders in the UK, and they're still very famous comedians, but they used to do a show called French and Saunders. Now, comedy historically has been very male in the UK. You know, like most comedians were male. People would say, well, women aren't funny. So there were these two comedians, French and Saunders, who were about my age, and they were hysterical. And I really related to their humor. I mean, they're two white women, but, you know, they were my generation, and they were talking about things that I could relate to. And that released my funny gene as a writer, believe it or not. I was writing my novel Lara at the time, and I was writing about my childhood, and I kind of realized that I could be funny. I could write their kind of humor, which was the beginning of me writing humor. But it's never something that is forced. It is something that emerges through character. So I find people very funny, right? People are entertaining. You know, there's how we see ourselves, how other people see us. There is often, you know, a disjunct between the two. We're often in self-denial about who we are. You know, we are all very flawed, and that makes us also very interesting. But there's a lot of humor in who we are as people. You know, I'm sure satirists, for example, will be exploiting this situation in years to come when there's some distance from it, because we have to laugh at some of the terrible things that happen, right? There is humor there. And so, so with my characters, the humor comes through how I kind of push their personalities, you know, and it happens in different ways. In Mr. Loverman, the character of Barrington is very opinionated. He has all these opinions about people, and he thinks he's right, and he's quite extreme in his points of view, And I think that gives him a lot of humor. In Girl, Woman, Other, I think a lot of the humor comes through what I said earlier about how people see themselves and how other people see them. And that people are always being knocked off their perch. So obviously, as human beings, we tend to hold ourselves in quite high esteem, right? Isn't that what it is to be human? If not, we would probably kill ourselves, right? So we have this sense of ourselves. But other people will see us differently. And I think with Girl, Woman, Other, I'm kind of playing around with that a lot. There was a second part to the question.
There was. What other genres of...
Other genres. Visual arts. I love the visual arts. This is an incredible time, maybe globally, really, for black artists to get the attention they deserve. And I go to a lot of black exhibitions in London. I can go almost every week. And there was a time when it was very, very hard for black artists to achieve anything. There was a movement called the Young Black Artists. Sorry, the Young British Artists, who were people like Damien Hirst and Tracy Emin. They were writers, artists of a certain generation who became very celebrated, very famous and very rich. And there was only one black artist there, and that was Chris Afili, who's of Nigerian heritage. But there were loads of artists I knew in the 80s who were doing really well in the 80s who just disappeared, right? They weren't getting acknowledged. They were still being exhibited at very small galleries. And what's happened in the last 5, 6, 7 years is like, same with my career, because I came through in the 80s, they are walking off with the top prizes. They are exhibiting at the Venice Biennale. They are now becoming the most celebrated artists around. And they are adding to the tapestry of British art in a way that is so necessary because they were so excluded. And there are now new generations coming through. So I'm in awe of their work, but also it really feeds my creativity because these are incredible artists. I'll mention some names: Sonia Boyce, John O'Comfort, Isaac Julian, Labena Hamid, Veronica Ryan, Claudette Johnson, Ingrid Pollard. They're all just doing phenomenally right now, and it's just recently that they've been doing so well. Major retrospectives in the biggest galleries and so on. But the thing about visual art is that they don't have to be logical and make sense. You know, I feel there is so much freedom. They are free of the narrative, right? Whereas as a writer of fiction, you have to understand how narrative works. And so their imagination just explodes all over the place without them having to interpret it for you. We interpret what they're doing. But it's very open. And I find that really inspiring. The fact that their imaginations are so fertile and limitless and infinite and just so impactful as well. So I would say that after theatre, which I go to a lot as well, and the same thing is happening in theatre, when I came of age, you know, nobody wanted black theatre, you know, we had to do it ourselves, but now there's so many black theatre plays that are on in the West End, all over the place. So theatre is my first love, but visual arts is my second, I think.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That is an incredibly enriching life to live, Bernardine. If you're going to the theatre, did you say at least once a week?
Yes, sometimes, yeah.
I want that.
Me too.
I want that.
Me too. Where's June? Is June in the
Where's
audience?
June Kashui?
June, you want theatre? Yes, and Gatia, we want theatre every week.
One theatre every week
yes?
in Nairobi.
Oh, she says yes. She said yes. Fantastic.
The kind of diversity that you're describing in visual art and that's happening also in theatre that you describe in the UK, you've championed for a long time for diversity in literature as well, the representation of like diverse voices and experiences. Would you say that that's happening in the literary scene as well, as far as you can see?
Yes, definitely. So many writers getting published. It used to be that we all knew each other 20 years ago, literally. You could probably count on one hand the number of black writers coming through getting published. And now I don't know who's out there because there are so many getting published. I'm not saying that we're in it's a utopian publishing climate because it isn't. But the opportunities are there for writers in a way that they have never been before. And as with all of these art forms, once you start to include the people who have historically been excluded, then the art form is enriched. And the work becomes more original because they're bringing different perspectives, different cultures, different points of view to the art form, to literature, writing about different communities. You know, I think literature can get very inward-looking and very stale and repetitive and narrow if it doesn't broaden out to include people from different cultures. And I also mean, you know, queer writers who are writing queer narratives. I mean working class writers, because literature traditionally has been very middle class, actually upper class if you go back far enough. All of these cultures are energizing the art form. And so as a result, you know, a lot of people are doing really well. Not only are a lot of these writers getting published, they're also winning a lot of awards because their work is standing out, right? So it's a very exciting time. And because I've been around so long, I can really appreciate what's happening now. Because I know that in 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, even 10 years, that we have the kinds of opportunities and are making the kinds of opportunities that we never had before. And the other thing to note is that most black literature in the past was literary. When you come up, talk about novels, it was what we called literary fiction. And one of the things I started banging on about when I won the Booker and they started listening to me a bit more was that we need to be writing in every genre. So we need to be writing crime fiction. They're the bestsellers, thriller, romance, all kind, you know, what you call used to call chick lit. You know, those are the books that are the foundation of publishing. And so, and that is happening now. It isn't just literary fiction. Even though I love literary fiction, that's what I read and want to read. I know that we need to be writing across the board, and we are. And that's also a new thing.
Thank you. I want to also just say thank you, because as a writer who has a lot of books ahead of her, my career is made possible because we're standing on your shoulders and all of the work you have done to create this land so we can continue.
Okay.
So
I can't take credit.
You will.
I can't take credit. I am part of the kind of activism that has led to this and that began before me, you know?
Absolutely.
But I'm definitely a contributor.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, you are, and we thank you. And maybe we can talk about writing a little bit. I know you're going to be like, don't.
No, please.
Okay.
Please talk about writing.
So I have a question about writing. And you have defended your creativity and your space to write. You speak about how you cut people out of your life that come in between you and your work. And I am in all of that because I'm always struggling to find time to write. I mean, I have a really incredible job that takes me away from my writing desk, and it's always a bit of a battle. Now, a battle that I fight, it's not about like the work and the team. My team are just like, go and write if you want to. So a lot of the time, the barriers are my own. And I wondered if you had any tips for writers who are juggling all of these multiple worlds. What do we do to protect our writing time a little more?
Well, there are two bits to the question, aren't they? One is about who you let into your life.
Yes.
And sometimes you can't control it, unfortunately. But, you know, I don't have negative people in my life. I do not choose if I have a choice, because obviously one has families and the rest of it and commitments. But I do not surround myself with people who are negative, and people who might undermine me and make my life difficult. And I always say this, and I talk about that in Manifesto, in my memoir, because I don't think I'd be writing today if I was stuck in a relationship I was in the 80s, because that person would have killed my creativity. And I had to escape that really oppressive, domineering person in order to become the person I am today, right? Who is somebody doing her own thing, powerful, led a creative life, and really focused on that. And I won't let anybody take that away from me. And the reason I am so solid in it is because somebody did try to take it away from me. And I'm very aware of the people around, some of the people I know who are in the arts and maybe aspiring to be in the arts, the way they can be psychologically damaged, undermined, and basically their confidence, stripped of their confidence by the people they associate with. And if people have a choice, and sometimes people think they haven't got a choice, but they do, because it's about the decisions you make in your life, then you need to leave those relationships and surround yourself with people who will be your supporters. But of course, it has to be two-way. You know, you can't just take. You have to, it has to be reciprocal. And so that is a really, really important part of being a creative person. I know somebody who's very close to me who's a very talented visual artist, but her husband has never liked her work. And for the last 20 years or so, she hasn't painted. You know, because her husband doesn't like her work, and he tells her, who did. He doesn't even have to tell her anymore because she stopped, right? And it's also, I think sometimes people think that you need the people around you to love your work. And what I'm saying is, don't have the people around you who will damage you so that you can't do the work. But your audience might not be the people around you. I mean, I know lots of people who don't read my books, you know, and that's fine. They don't have to, just don't pretend you have. If you pretend you have, I will see through you, right? But that's fine, because I know my readers are the people who want to read my books. And it's not as if I feel that my social circle, that my friends and colleagues and so on, should be forced to consume everything I write. They you know, they don't have to. If they want to, all well and good. But if they don't like my work, then they can keep it to themselves, right? So, and people do tell you, you know, sometimes, but I can shrug it off now. But anyway, just the other thing about ideas, and I think I said this in the workshop, the masterclass I gave a couple of days ago. Sometimes you have to protect your ideas, because sometimes you've got great ideas and you tell everybody about them. Number one, they might steal them. And number two, they may make you doubt them. And people are very good at that. You know, you say, I've got this great idea, and then they'll say, oh no, I don't think that's going to work. And you haven't even tested the idea. So sometimes you have to protect your writing until such point as it's ready for people to give their responses to it, probably when it's published or something. The whole juggling thing is all about what your priority is and what your commitment is to being a writer. That's what it's about. There is always time, you know. How many hours do we waste doing things that give us nothing? How many times, who's on TikTok? No hands went up. Oh, one hand, two, three,
I see
four,
many faces.
four. Any more?
I will start reporting you.
Come on. Who's on Instagram?
Kibali.
You know, oh, more. You know, it's like, I mean, I do it myself. That's why I know. I know that many of us spend way too much time scrolling. What's it giving us? Making us jealous of other people's lives. They're curated, perfect lifestyles, right? So there is time. You know, watching Netflix, you know, you have like 24/7 entertainment. Who cannot carve out 30 minutes writing time a day? At least 30 minutes writing time a day. Even if you're in a busy family situation, just say you go into the toilet and spend half an hour in there with your computer. You know, you can find the time. So yes, you're juggling all these things, and it feels like you haven't got the time to write. But if your commitment is the writing, you need to make that your priority, and you need to get it done. I juggle lots of things all the time, but I get the writing done, because everything else is, in a way, marginal to my creativity, which is the writing. So, yeah.
I needed to hear that. Thank you. Any other writers in the audience? Yeah. How many of us needed to hear that, Lola? We've got to prioritize.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've got to prioritize. And speaking of writers, I think I might want to throw it to the audience to see if there are any questions for
Yes,
Bernardine.
because we have like 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any questions for Bernardine?
Going once. We want to bring you in so that we don't get... I fear that we could make this a conversation just between the three of us for a long time.
You see one over there. Yep, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hi. Just want to say thank you. Oh, okay. Let me just say thank you to Book Bunk for hosting this, and thank you, Bernardine, for being a part of this conversation. I just wanted to ask a question about the importance of narrative and understanding how narrative works. How do you develop that understanding of how narrative works, and how do you develop your own voice as a writer? And then also...
Just one question. Okay. I can only hold one question in my head. Okay, I studied narrative. You know, if you should have come to my masterclass, because I talked about that. I studied how story works. I studied story structure, not on a course. I didn't study creative writing at a university or anything, but I read the books about how story structure works. And so I have a very strong sense of story structure, but then I also break all the rules. Yes. But then I also don't believe in the rules, right? Everything that, you know, literature, fiction, say a novel is made up of lots of different components, and some people can be very prescriptive in how they teach the art of fiction. You must do this, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. And really, you can do anything if you can pull it off. So if you look at Girl, Woman, Other, which I noticed you had a copy there, what structure is that? You know, what structure is it? I call it fusion fiction. It's lots and lots and lots of mini plots that I wasn't even aware that I was writing. 12 co-protagonists, right? Shifting time-wise all over the place, geographically shifting. A lot of telling. I would say the book is mostly telling, whereas, you know, writers are taught show, don't tell, you know, and I'm doing all this telling, but it's how I'm doing it that means that you're able to, I'm communicating in a way that you can consume it as fiction. So the basics of story structure are very simple. Get a book called Writing Fiction by Janet Burroway, really, really useful book, and then you bring to it the story that you want to tell, and then you bring to it your own linguistic facility, your ideas, your understanding of humanity, your understanding of relationships. I'm not talking about writing about yourself, I'm talking about your general understanding of all the things that it's useful to understand when you're writing fiction. And we all understand it, but then we consciously put it into the fiction, right? You know, I keep talking about people and how people behave. We all have our own wisdom as individuals. And I say this to my students, and they might be 21 or something, and they look at me like, I don't have any wisdom. I'm like, you do, of course you do. You've lived 21 years. You have your wisdom, right? Which, you know, it could be limited to the fact that you are the age that you are, possibly, and you'll have a more expanded wisdom, one hopes, when you're older. Right, but you have got that. You have an understanding of human psychology, and all of that goes into it, you know. But narrative is the easy part of writing a novel, and it's very easy to look that up and to understand it.
Thank you. We have one more. Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm a therapist, but I do have a podcast that's based on seeing how self-help books are applicable in real life. And my question is, how do you guys decide the parameter between your private life and how much you want to put into the books? How much is too much, and how do you decide, acha nijitoe tu kidogo?
Well, you know, I write fiction, and if you're a black woman in the UK and you write fiction, people often say you're writing about yourself. And I'm like, I'm not a 74-year-old gay Caribbean man. I'm not an 18-year-old black girl growing up in Roman London 1800 years ago. I'm not a 94-year-old farmer in the north of England, right? So I don't write about myself, except in my book, Lara, which was about my family history, and it's loosely based, part of it is loosely based on my childhood. And the character for Amma in Girl, Woman, Other is inspired by my experiences of women and theatre in the 1980s. But apart from that, it is fiction. I'm writing fiction, so I'm not talking about myself. it's very interesting. I was listening to Tai Selassie talking, and she was saying that she feels that she is writing about herself, but I don't. You know, I'm creating these fictional characters. I am the parent, but I'm allowing them to be who they are, you know? But the memoir, Manifesto on Never Giving Up, which is a memoir, that is about my life. But it's about certain aspects of my life. It's not about the whole of my life. And I have probably held back about 30% in terms of things I haven't gone into. Because I come from a large family. You have to be careful what you say. Because it's not just my childhood, it's theirs. And then I talk about relationships and how they affected my creativity. They're all around. So, and some of them may come for me. So I had to kind of like be careful there. And, you know, but there may be a Manifesto Part 2 in like 30 years, if I'm still around. And I'll fill in the bits that I didn't fill in now.
I love that. We're waiting for part 2, aren't we? Is that our time? I think that's our time, guys. A round of applause, please. We must stand up for this one. On your feet for Bernardine, please. Round of applause. Thank you so much.
You know, can I just say, this is such a lovely festival. And, you know, these two are change makers, right? We often look at change makers as people who are someone different from us. But they're just two normal human beings, as far as I can tell, right? But they had a dream and a vision and decided to make a difference. And look at them, they're building these wonderful libraries. And so, yes. What I want to say is, it begins with the individual. You know, the projects that I've set up, I wasn't in a position where I had lots of money or lots of resources. I just set it up and built something slowly. So it's in everybody to do what they're doing, right? If there is a gap, if you know that things need to change, then you need to be a change maker in terms of constructively building things that you feel are necessary for your communities. And that's what they're doing. And that's why we're here. It's why it's such a fantastic festival.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernardine.
Thank you.
So generous of you.
Bernardine Evaristo, everybody. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Stay there.
Give her flowers. Literally. And speaking of flowers.
Flowers, here, take your flower.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the flower.
Yes. Let's take this photograph. Bernardine will be signing books shortly, as soon as we're done with this next bit.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bernardine. If you need your book signed, if you haven't had it signed yet, This would be a good time to get that done.
But as Alea said, don't go anywhere just yet, because we would like to show you the people who have been working for months to put this together. You may have your seats. Sorry, you may have your seats now. I apologize. Where's the DJ? DJ, could we have some vibes? Thank you.
And the people that weathered what was quite a week.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of made the changes that we needed to make this happen.
Could I please have some of the stage management crew to move this furniture back? We need some space on stage for this next bit. Could we get some help on stage, please? Push it all back.
I like the way that your body move all over the floor, nah, nah, nah. I'd like to find a way to get lost in you, yeah. I wanna talk to you, baby, say what's on your mind. Girl, tell me anything that you wanna do, yeah. Ain't we all just looking for some loving tonight? Got a crazy feeling that I fit you just right. So try me in the morning when the sun comes rising up. Try me in the afternoon, bet you just can't get enough. Try me in the evening, satisfaction.
So we want to show you these incredible people. And could we please start by calling up all our volunteers? If you're in the space and you're in a yellow shirt, please come onto stage.
Come.
Our volunteers. Enthusiastically, please.
Jenny.
So the people are coming up now are all from universities across the city. Karibuni sana, please hurry up so we can get to the party. Round of applause, please, for our wonderful team of volunteers.
Thank you for volunteering, your time, your energy, your magic. Thank you so much. Teacher Opa.
Are you seeing this army? It takes a village, everybody. It takes a village. Your volunteers, ladies and gentlemen. Asanteni sana.
And next we have people that interned with us.
All our interns.
Yes. Thank you.
Just stand in front, make a row in front. These interns span the communications department, the archive department, the collections department, the programs department.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Takes a village, y'all.
Takes a village. Yeah. And we're not even halfway done. Can we see all of the Book Bunk permanent staff, all 20-something of you? Please come
Book Bunkers. Nerea, Kimbiani.
Whoop, whoop.
Hey.
Look at these good-looking people. Team Book Bunk.
The village grows. That's the Book Bunk team, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Maureen.
Yes, Maureen.
Yes, Maureen.
Hey. And these guys every day, every single day are working on these libraries, securing them, planning for them, curating the archives, digitizing the collections, and it's an honor to work with you guys.
Yes, always. Running the facilities that you guys are enjoying.
Yeah.
Keeping them clean and sparkly.
Our curator, Wanjiru Gakuru.
Hey.
Hey.
Second run, isn't it? Yeah.
All the program, you have her to thank for it. So thank you for the program.
We worked with Wanjiru last year as well. So it's always a joy to see how much more we can expand on the programming side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wanjiru. Okay.
And
our babes.
Our babes. Our babes. As you know, this festival has now partnered with Hey Festival Global.
Whoop, whoop, whoop!
And in the house, we have from the Hey Festival team, Christina and Izara.
Come on up. And as they come up, we've been asked so many times, like, how did you guys do this thing? How did you find them? Come on up. How did you find them? What did they say to you? You know what they said to us? They're like, who do you want for your festival? Who do you want? You want Oprah? Do you want Oprah? We can get you Oprah. We can get you. And it was sold. Christina and Izara
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for finding us. A lot of our team members might not even know that you're this is Christina and Izara, everybody.
Izara is returning. She was with us at the Lit Fest last year. So thank you for coming to check out our programming last year. And thank you for returning. And Christina. Oh, good. Good. Do we have any of our partners still here? Aisha from Open Society? Anyone from the British Council?
Bouquet, Henrietta, are you still here? Any of our funders, partners in the room? We want to have you on the stage as well with us.
I see you, Henrietta.
Henrietta.
We have a partnership with Book Aid International. That's where Henrietta is from. And what that means is that...
Asma.
Oh, Asma is here. Okay, Asma. Come. Global
Anyone
Fund for
from the
Human
British
Rights.
Council here? I saw them earlier. I think they've left the British Council. Is Asma coming? Yes, she is.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. See? Village.
Yeah, quite frankly, thank you for the money. Thank you for the money. And last but not least,
Alea Kasam. Magical human being.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Oiwa, is that you?
Why is Oiwa?
Oiwa. Describe.
So this is why Oiwa is always forgotten, because he loves to be in the background. All the beauty you see
Come
in
here,
this place,
Oiwa.
please come front and center. Front and center. The backdrop behind us, that's him. The backdrop on the other side, that's him. Everything you see that is beautiful and intentional is this incredible man. Here's the reason we look so good. Here's the reason the libraries look so good. And everyone tells us how you guys are, like, you're about the aesthetic. We are, and he helps us. He makes all our Pinterest dreams come true, is what I like to say.
He's a Pinterest god.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our team. And now, with much further ado, we're all going to say thank you for coming before we hand over to Alea to close this wonderful festival off. But in true Book Bunk honor, we're grateful and we say Asanteni Sana. Should we take a bow?
Yes.
Let's take a bow.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming.
Two more thank yous. Thank you to Wachuka and Cheryl. Thank you for your audacity, because it takes audacity to do this, for your care and for gathering us in this way. Thank you. And thank you to every single one of you for coming. You are wonderful. And finally, I hope you'll stay with us to dance, will you? Yes! Now we dance! Let's fill the space with joy!
Anegwa muthia koragwo mwaki aniachere tatiga kuhikie anyona musiendie kurakara na kerakara wenda kaga no thamire